Does it feel to you like a lot of the people crying over the most recent elections are just a bunch of sore losers? Get your coffee. Why does it seem right now that so many Christians are upset? Why does it seem to some that they are just being a bunch of sore losers? Why would so many Christians support a presidential candidate with such serious character flaws? All of those are maybe good questions. So let me give you some thoughts as a Christian and even as a pastor. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat. I never registered for either party. And like a lot of people I know, I sit somewhere in the middle as an independent. I am unaffiliated. And it seems that I'm among a growing number of people that are independent and rather libertarian in their views. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't vote most often in a fairly partisan way. I'm not affiliated with a specific party, but like many Christians in America, I would be considered a conservative in a lot of my views, which means most often I would be identified as being right-wing, which I don't really like that label, but whatever. So I've heard the question for a long time. Why would so many Christians support for president an individual, Donald Trump, with serious character flaws? That is a great question. And if you are genuinely desiring to know the answer, then great. But most of the time when I've interacted with people who ask that question, they do not really care to hear the answer. They just don't like that Christians, which there are still a lot of them in the United States, Christians have predominantly supported Donald Trump in 2016 and then again most recently a couple of weeks ago. They don't like Donald Trump. And they haven't liked that Christians who promote traditional morality and sometimes what is called traditional values would vote for a candidate like Donald Trump. So they say, you support traditional morality and traditional values, and Donald Trump doesn't seem to live according to a traditional morality or those values, and his general overall demeanor and disposition is not that Christian. So you Christians, if you're consistent, you shouldn't support him. And if you do, then you really are the hypocrites that we thought that you were. Now, that objection would make sense if Donald Trump's unchristian character qualities were the only variables. But there's more going on here than just the fact that Donald Trump is not exactly the model candidate for church-going Christians. Why on earth would Christians vote for him? Why would they support him? Well, I think that a lot of Christians, they voted for Donald Trump because they saw Donald Trump as a human hand grenade. You may have noticed that this was missing there on my shelf. Thanks for this, Phil, by the way. Donald Trump was a human hand grenade or a political Molotov cocktail. Many people, including a lot of Christians, voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and again in 2020 because they were effectively throwing the orange thermonuclear weapon into Washington to blow up a political and media establishment that they felt was either ineffective or rotten or outright toxic. For many of those, the last 4 years have been exactly what they expected that they would be. They haven't been pretty, but in a strange sort of way, it has been somewhat beautiful in a disgusting sort of way. And for a lot of conservatives, the outcomes have been better than they expected. The policies have been far more in line with their values than they thought that they would be. So why are so many Christians upset right now? Why does it seem like they're just a bunch of sore losers in the face of what has happened? Because I think that they're concerned that the outcomes of the most recent elections have not been entirely just, or at least it seems that way. And they are concerned that the toxicity and rottenness of the political and media establishment hasn't been neutralized and is potentially going to win the day in 2020. And so what does that mean going forward? There's some uncertainty there. For many Christians, they feel like what the Apostle Peter describes when he writes of an Old Testament character that many people know very little about, a man named Lot. Lot lived among the most lawless and wicked people of his day in a city called Sodom. It really wasn't the best place to raise a family, and you could certainly make the case that Lot made a bad decision by planting himself and his family there, but he was there nonetheless. And say what you will about Lot, the Bible says that he was righteous before God. And Peter says that Lot, living among the ungodly and unrighteous peoples of Sodom and Gomorrah, was tormented in his soul from day to day, seeing and hearing their lawless deeds of the peoples of that place. A lot of Christians feel that their souls are tormented from day to day, seeing and hearing the lawless deeds surrounding them in an increasingly godless and amoral, if not entirely immoral society. So Donald Trump, he certainly wasn't the picture-perfect candidate for many Christians, but they weren't selecting their pastor when they voted for him. They were hurling a human hand grenade into Washington. Something to think about. We'll see you next time.